baby. When I move, you move.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Jules Nuggets. My name is Juliana and I am still your host. There are a few things I really want to talk about today, but first of all, today is Wednesday. You know, when the weather is really gloomy and cloudy and maybe it just rained and it's going to rain again and it's just really dim, it's great. I absolutely love it. So I've been on a drive this morning. I want to see a client of ours. So in my business, we are classified as essential services. So I went to sign up a new client of mine. Of course, we observe all health and safety protocols, the highest standards, making sure they're okay before we went to the visit. So I've just been on that visit and back. So the drive was absolutely easy and it was really fantastic, coupled with the fact that the weather was just beautiful, just the way that I like it. There are a few things I really want us to talk about with this COVID-19 pandemic and how it affects us as people, as adults, and how it also affects literally everyone, the young, the old, male, female. It has no respect for your social status. I've spoken to a lot of friends, a lot of friends talk about they want to start paying attention, more attention to international environments, and they also want to, I guess, be on top of the news and take advantage, not advantage, just be on top of the news and, get to see what's happening quickly and see how they can react. So I thought I'd come here today and talk about what are some of the lessons that we have learned since the pandemic broke out. It's very sad, very unfortunate that a lot of people have lost their jobs and their source of livelihood. And even I'm very grateful that here in Australia, my business is classified as essential services. That means that I can still deliver service to people most needing of assistance.
Still, baby. When I move, you move.
Job rejection. We've been through a lot of rejections. I personally have been through a lot of applications that was rejected, and it's quite sad when that happens. Now, this is a good time to revisit those applications that you thought they were really very good and you made it up to the interview stage. Please, this might not work for you if you did not make it to the interview stage. But if you went through an application process on the interview stage and got a rejection, you might want to stay put and watch this video. But before I go into the content of what I need to share with you today, I really want to share a story with you about my experience with job rejection.
Still, baby. When I move, you.
I moved to Darwin in the Northern Territory in 2015. Yes, I moved in 2015, and I was there for almost a year before I moved back to Melbourne. So it was actually in Northern Territory that I started my, I guess you can put it, Australian career, especially in this sector that I am today. So I worked with the Salvation Army Employment Plus. So I was a trainer and I was responsible for delivering work readiness programs to people receiving money from Centrelink. So I was the trainer responsible for Northern Territory. It was a really fantastic job. And before I got that job, it's also worth mentioning that I had to make a decision that gave me the opportunity to be able to get that job to start with. So, while in 2015, I was working towards my degree in business administration, and I had, at that time I completed my master's degree. I focused in human resource management. And I remember searching for work as a trainer, as a teacher, a lecturer, and those were not forthcoming for me. So I thought, what is wrong with this country? Why is everyone so racist? That was what I thought, you know. I'm like, oh, maybe it's my name. I remember you share your resume with so many people. So many. I shared my resume with so many people. Resume is a very private matter. I'm quite protective and maybe a little bit defensive about my resume, but at that stage I did not care. So I sent my resumes to so many people, and everyone, you know, gave me their feedback, and it made my resume slightly better. It's very funny, the resume that I have now. My last resume is actually the best. I've had a lot of compliments. I might put up a picture of that resume. Anyways, so how I got this job was when I took a step back and I looked at the job applications I was going for. They always ask for this certificate in training and assessment. And I thought to myself, I don't know what you guys are all about. I don't know why I need to have a set 4. A set 4? I've got a bachelor's degree, I've got a master's degree, I'm working towards the highest degree in the world. What do you mean I need to get a set 4? So at that point in time, I was really adamant to do this set 4. But I didn't understand. A switch just went off in my head one day and said, well, you're the one that wants a job, and if this is the requirement, that's the requirement, you need to have this set 4. So I started Googling and saying, okay, so I was trying to find this place that would do that. I mean, I would do a set 4 in, and then I got a place where it was fast tracked. It was like in, and I finished my training assessment. So by the time I'd moved to Darwin, I'd already obtained that qualification, and that is how I got my job in this industry, community services. So I was doing that job in Darwin for nearly a year. That wasn't my first job in Darwin. If you want to hear about my first job in Darwin, perhaps you should stay tuned. I think I will get to that video, or I will make that video at some point during all these sessions of mine. I was in Darwin for about a year. I had a really good time. The weather was amazing. When it's hot, it's really hot. It's really very muggy. You know, you sweat. Oh, the sweat. I couldn't get over it.
Yo, baby. When I move, you move.
Well, it was quite nice. I had a really nice apartment in the city. It was lovely. It was the life. When I decided to move back to Melbourne, I started applying to jobs in Melbourne. Now, anyone that knows me knows that I am geographically challenged, and there is a word for it. It's called directional dyslexia. It is a real thing, and I suffer from acute directional dyslexia. So I don't know where I am half of the time. If I say go left, I do this. This is my right hand. I do this. So it will be worthwhile for you to just follow this, and this doesn't know what she's saying when it comes to directions. So I was applying to all of these jobs in Melbourne, and I knew where I was going to stay when I moved back to Melbourne. I was going to stay in a specific area. Now I see a job that is close, or closely related to what I was doing in Darwin, or something that I really want to do, and I would just send out my resumes to this place. Now, if you're very familiar with Darwin, you know that if you live in, say for example, you live in the northern suburbs of Melbourne, and I was looking for work in the southeast. Yeah. Now that I think about it, oh, it must be crazy. But I always had I love to drive. I love to drive when I know where I'm going to. Now, if I don't know where I'm going to, I get a little bit of anxiety, and just because I want to be focused, I want to get to where I'm going to, hopefully zero accident, then I get migraines. Yeah, so you would not see me in my car without a bottle of water, regardless of where I'm going to. Of course, I got a few rejections, but then there was one person that did a telephone interview, and when I sent out my resume, I did say that I'm still living in the Northern Territory in Darwin, and I'm going to move back to Melbourne on this date and this date. So I was very open and very upfront with that. situation so I don't mislead anyone. Then one of the applications got back to me and asked if I could do a phone interview. I said absolutely. So we scheduled a phone interview. It went really, really well. You know, it was amazing. He asked me about my experience. He asked me where I was going to move to when I moved to, when I moved back to Melbourne. I told him, and he said, "Oh, that's really close to the office." In my head, I'm like, "Yeah, no, I googled it." No, I did not Google it because I was desperate at the time to find work when I go back to Melbourne. Cut the long story short, I waited a week to hear back from him. I didn't hear back from him, so I sent him a message. I sent him an email and said to him, I said, "Hi, it's Juliana. We spoke, and I thanked him for speaking to me last week and said that I was hoping to get a response back from him based, on my job application. How is that going?" And he got back to me. I think a day later, he got back to me with "I'm sorry" email and said, "Look, I'm sorry. You're familiar with this industry. When someone else leaves, we need to get someone else back in the position almost as soon as possible." And I understand that because that's the truth, in human services, the turnover is high, but then you need to replace people as they go. So I understood his point, and he sounded really genuine and said to me, "That's really what happened. You really interviewed well. I liked you and all of that, but I'm really very sorry. I couldn't offer you something right now." And of course I was sad, because I had my hopes up, especially knowing the fact that this place that I was applying to was really close to my house. Telling him that, "Yeah, I understand you can't employ me at the moment, but if an opportunity arises within your network, please let me know and I will, apply for the job." And I don't know, there must have been something in the way that I wrote that email, or he was just a really good person. And he wrote back to me and said, "Sure, absolutely, I'm happy to share your resumes within my network, see what's happening." Now, I kid you not, maybe 2 days after that email, I got an email from someone telling me, same organization but different offices, telling me that they got my contact from another manager and said that they would like to see me when I arrived in Melbourne. It blew my mind. I'm like, "Oh, sure, absolutely. Oh, thank you so much. You are the best," whatever. And it blew my mind. I was very grateful. Now, not just being grateful, I went back to that same man that I first interviewed with over the phone. And I said to him, "This person has called me. Oh, thank you so much for the referral. I'm very grateful." I showed my appreciation for that because you see, gratitude is a very important thing. People that show gratitude, I want to help more, and it feels good when someone says thank you. Say it to someone and someone says it back to you. It really feels good. So those are some of my life principles. Gratitude. So I sent him an email and said, "Thank you so much for, helping out." And this person reached out to me from your organization. They said that there might be a job and I should, talk to him when I got to Melbourne. I'm like, "Oh, cool." He was like, "No, cool, that's okay. No worries and whatnot, moving forward." Now, I think a week before I left the Northern Territory back to Melbourne, I saw someone sent me a Facebook thing. When you're not friends with someone in Facebook, it goes into a spam. And said this person wanted to talk to you. I remember the name, and I thought, "Oh, why is he not sending me an email?"
Yo, baby. When I move, you move.
So I opened the email up and he said to me, "Look, I know this is, hi Juliana, how are you? I know this is not official. This is not official. Yeah, like this is not professional. That was this word. I know this is not professional, but there is this. I've moved from that position and I've moved from that position. I'm in this position and this job has come up. And then it sent me the PD, sent me everything in that email and said that if I was interested, I should send them a message back and we'll take it from there. I'm like, hell yeah, I am absolutely interested. So I think during that time, I also, so by the time I got back to Melbourne, I had 3 job interviews lined up. Three job interviews lined up. I was absolutely blown away. And I went to all 3 interviews. Unfortunately, I can't remember my 3rd interview and who it was with. Cut the long story short, I went to interview with the first guy that, the guy that sent me the Facebook message. And what he said to me was, you got the job. Now, this job was going to put me directly as this 2IC. So he was in charge of the entire Victoria and I was his second in charge. And the offices were just spread across the entire Melbourne. The closest office to me at the time was Heidelberg. So we had office in Heidelberg, we had offices in we had office in Heidelberg, we have office in Ringwood, Warrantana South, and there's this place where there's lots of wine. After Ringwood, I can't remember what it's called now, we had an office there as well. We had an office in Moonee Ponds. It was just crazy. And of course I said I love to drive. So it was a very great job. It was a wonderful job. My former boss and I, shout out to you, Chris. That's all I'm going to say. Chris is a wonderful, 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 wonderful human. I had my best times with him. He let me grow, he let me flourish. Sometimes I took advantage of his generosity. He's such a nice human being. And when I left that job to other jobs, I always use him as a reference. And one thing that he always tells my the HR or whoever called was, well, oh, is that what she's going for? Is that what she's applying to? Okay, be very careful because she might take over the company very soon. We have such a great banter. Why am I telling all these stories? Why am I telling this story? It's just because I did not stop at a rejection and say, okay, rejected, I'm just going to leave it as it is, because that's what you do. You use this period to actually think about those rejections, especially those rejections that you thought you did a really good job and you were surprised that you did not get that job. Those are the ones that I really need to talk to you about. Now, regardless of if you currently have a job or not, but there's always room for improvement. There's always reasons that something happened. And if you are a curious person, because I'm very curious in nature, I think you'd want to know. Now, let's talk about those jobs that you applied to and you did not get, and you went all the way to the interview stage. Now, if you did not get to the interview stage, this might not be relevant to you, but I still encourage you to watch just in case you find yourself in that situation. The reason why we are doing this is, the reason why I'm encouraging you to do this is because of the current climate. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has made people absolutely, absolutely humble. Our lives became different from what we used to know. A lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people have lost, source of livelihood. A lot of relationships have broken down. A lot of issues, stress, that it can be attributed to this COVID-19 pandemic. That's a very sad time, and I guess this is the best time to say Thank you to all our essential workers that are keeping everyone safe. I appreciate you. I admire your strengths, and I say a big thank you for keeping us safe.
Yo, baby. When I move, you move.
Back to the topic. Now, what I need you to do is think about that job that you've made to the interview stage but got rejected. Now, the reason why this particular one is important is you really want to know. Like I said, COVID-19 has humbled so many people because it has no respect for your age, your gender, your class. It has no respect for who you think you are. A lot of rich people have died from COVID-19. A lot of poor people have died from COVID-19. Has no respect. So it has kept everyone humble to an extent where, you're just grateful. You're just grateful to be alive. Now, what I need you to do is, in your rejection letter, for example, if you had someone sign your rejection letter. Now, if you've not done this before, if you don't have them on LinkedIn, I suggest that you go find that person out on LinkedIn. Now, there's a difference between stalking someone and research, yeah? I'm all for research. Find that person on LinkedIn and send them a connection request. Hopefully they accept this request. And when they do, you want to be very polite, because at this stage, because a lot of people have lost their jobs, you don't know if they still have their jobs. So please be very respectful. This is where your emotional intelligence and just basic common sense comes to play. Ask them how they are, what they were doing, I'm hoping, and ask them that, I hope this COVID-19 has not impacted your work at, XYZ company. Just checking in. And the last message, the last few sentences could be aligned that, do you remember me? And when they respond to you, hopefully they respond to you and, they tell you what they've been up to, and, professional. I don't want to give it all up. And then you can start the new conversation. Say, attach your resume again and go, hey, I met you XYZ when I came, I met you when I came for the interview. I thought, you were quite, put in a little bit of compliments in there. And I know I did not get the job. There must be a reason why. So I thought, since everyone is very reflective at this point in time, I'm looking how to, I guess, improve on my existing skills. Also see what I can, do better. It could be my delivery, in the interview settings. It could be my appearance. Just your feedback would be highly appreciated. That's if they remember. And they might be able to give you a feedback and say, oh, this is this is that, this is this is that. That's if they remember and if they are keen. Look, at the end of the day, a lot of people are going through issues, whatever is happening in their lives, we really don't know. But at the end of the day, if they come back to you with suggestions, I want you to take those suggestions really, really seriously. Another thing is, if you love to work for an organization, and you've been knocked back several times, during the past, this is a really good time to revisit those organizations and find people that works in that organization on LinkedIn. It could be the department you want to work to. It could be HR. Really can help you in this scenario unless you're looking for an HR role. Try to reach out to them and ask relevant questions. Ask questions that make them remember you. Now, this is industry specific and I guess role specific as well. Ask those questions, and if they're happy to oblige and answer your questions, you will see that it could do you a lot of good, a whole lot of good. So this is the time to be very reflective, and this is the time to put your best foot forward. So personally, I've been very blessed. I've been very lucky. The government has classified my organization as organizations or industry that delivers essential services. I'm very lucky. I'm blessed. But having said that, personally, I'll be very honest. There are a lot of things that I really think that I should be doing that I'm not doing. And it's not because I don't know that that thing that I want to do is important. It's just like I am not motivated to do those things. Now, don't beat yourself up. Knowing is the beginning of actual progress. Now it falls back on you if you don't do those things. I know out of the 10 things that I think in my head, oh, this is what I should be doing. For example, I'd like us to have a more streamlined recruitment process. I'd like us to have a more streamlined processes, and that's internally and externally. I'd like us to do less of hard copies, more soft copies as well. But I understand that in my industry that's a little bit tricky because some people they need assistance, for example, to fill out the forms. They need assistance to do XYZ. So quite frankly, you can't really take out that face-to-face element from what we do. But I think for some clients that have the capacity to do things online, we're not printing anything, so we're saving the environment. I'm very passionate about that. So I've been thinking about all these business improvement things that I need to do. But because I'm still working at the same time, it's quite hard. So you might be in that situation as well. You're thinking, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. You have all these things that you want to do, but you're just not starting. You're not doing them. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. I know that, speaking for myself, I know that this uncertainty has brought about some lack of motivation and just perhaps lack of direction to an extent as well. Don't beat yourself up, but what's most important is that you know these things. You might want to put them into a scale of importance and walk your way down through it. Some of the things that I thought are really, really not negotiable, really important, I'm starting to do those ones a little bit. I lie. A little bit, yeah, if you get what I'm saying. So,
Yo, baby. When I move you.
COVID-19, I seriously hope and pray that, a lot of these lessons that we've learned will make us rethink the way that we're living our lives. Will make us, rethink the future of work for us, make us rethink our investment decisions, make us rethink our life decisions. So these are the things that I really want us to start looking at.
Yo, baby.
Video. I really want to thank everyone that liked, shared, and comment on my introductory video. Thank you so very much. It made me happy, and a lot of feedback that I've received as well in terms of a lot of feedback for content, from my personal friends. Thank you so much for all your feedback. Your feedback is appreciated. Thank you so much. To put a comment down if what I've said resonated with you. Let me know. Let's keep that chain of conversation flowing. In my introductory video, I did not put my email address, so I will put my email address at the end of this video or on the screen. Please share this video to someone that might want to, you thought they should see it. Also, please subscribe to my channel for more content. I'm not doing these videos in isolation, so if you have any feedback for me, please send those feedbacks through, and I will see you next time. Final note, I will try to make these videos weekly. I thought I was going to be able to dedicate this, do it on a Wednesday, and then do the editing, which I'm learning, do the editing and then put out the videos. But this last 2 Wednesdays, I have been extremely busy, and I apologize I've not brought out the video. This YouTube thing it's time consuming. I really don't have that much time, but I do know that I have messages that I'd like to share with you guys. So until I see you next time, my name is Juliana and you're watching Jules Nuggets. See ya.
Yo, baby. When I move, you move. Just like that. When I move, you move. Hold it. Best. Ladies and gentlemen, I levitate. Ogogoro ń ṣẹgbẹ́ pa mí. skinny girls want to fit dick by me. I want money, benefit.